Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Molechap here, coming at you with another StarCraft commentary. This is the MSL100 series, game number 65. And I am actually so flipping excited to talk about this game right now. This is going to be awesome. This is Julyzerg versus Rage. Julyzerg! And I was just thinking the other day, I was like, I know I'm just going through these MSL games in order right now. I'm not even looking at like who it is anymore until I get to it. And I was thinking the other day, like, oh, it's July. I should cast some Julyzerg in July. That would be perfect, right? Well, here we go. MSL100 has delivered. And I want to talk about this game and Julyzerg in just a moment. But first, I want to really quick give a shout out to, Soccer Guy, sorry, who sent me a donation. Thank you very much for that. And I also wanted to say one other thing before I get too much into this game, which is, I don't know if anyone paid attention, but if, like a few games ago, I was like, I have 3 things to say, and I said 2 of them. Well, the third thing was, I'm seeing a lot of comments on my videos, and by the way, it's really fun to read comments. I really appreciate when you guys like leave comments, and I'm not saying like comment, subscribe, you know, don't leave a comment if you don't have anything to say, but I just want you to know that I am appreciative of the comments, and I read them all, and really enjoy like hearing people talk about the games and stuff like that, and talk about the old days, etc., etc. So that's fun. But I feel like there's a lot of comments that people are saying stuff or they're asking questions, and I've been replying to a lot of them, but then I'm not, okay, what's going on with the aspect ratio there? That was kind of weird. I'm replying to a lot of them, but I don't know if you guys are seeing it because I don't think YouTube has like a notification system when someone replies to your comment that's very obvious. I'm sure it does, but I don't usually see it, so I'm not seeing if people are replying to my replies. Anyway, point being, what I want to do is like kind of an AMA type thing, so I want to do a video that's not really doing a StarCraft game, but just answering questions about stuff and like just addressing like comments that people have or things that people want to say. So anyway, so if you have any questions for me, go ahead and leave them in a comment on this video, and then I will in the future make a video that's just entirely like answering questions and talking about whatever you guys want to talk about, basically. And maybe actually I just thought of this right now while I'm recording this. Maybe we should do like a Q&A live stream or something like that, or maybe even part of the live stream event we'll do some Q&A. So that'd be kind of cool. We can actually talk about the old Brood War days. Anyway, speaking of the old Brood War days, I've been like itching for the last 2.5 minutes to talk about Julyzerg. This is Julyzerg. This is July. This game is being played in middle of July of 2004. Okay? And if you are not aware of it, that's pretty significant, because this is like we are actually just like, we're in the operating room and like there's a head popped out right now, and we're about to witness the birth of a legend. And we gotta hold that thought, because we got a pylon behind. Are we seeing a cannon rush? Oh my gosh, we're seeing a cannon rush! 2 cannons, and even glitches the probe through so the probe can harass the drone. Rage is pulling a cheeser here and doing a crazy cannon rush. Julyzerg is gonna have to defend this. If he can kill off that pylon in time, it'll be okay. But I don't know if he's gonna be able to. And look at this, he's even building a backup hatchery in his main base. A zealot is coming in to harass as well. If that zealot arrives, that is going to be terrible. Colony going down, which is going to try and combat the cannons. But to be within range to kill the cannons, it has to be within range of the cannons as well. And the cannons are going to complete, and they are within range of the hatchery. So Julyzerg just forced to abandon the second base and fall back up his ramp, basically. And, wow. And he's going to be able to, and this is really cute to see this. Whenever you see this situation, you see them just, they're like, well, I gotta make use of the larva, right? So he's continuing to make Zerglings out of that hatchery, and he actually knows that Rage is probably a little bit vulnerable back at his own base, because he's made all of his cannons in his base, so he's got no defenses right now. The Zealot's there too, so he's actually sending Zerglings to run by, but he has made cannons. Okay, and he's gonna put a probe on the ramp as well. Beautiful timing. The Overlord sees that defense, so he's not going to bother doing it. He's going to bring his Zerglings back and just use the Zerglings to defend against the Zealot in his main, which was not microed terribly well. But you can hold position the ramp with that probe. He's got a second probe there as a backup as well. The probes are going to be replaced by the Zealots, and oh, he does replace it just in time. So if you put the Zealots in just the right spot, they're going to hold that ramp perfectly. The cannon hitting from behind is going to mean that those Zerglings cannot break that ramp. So Julyzerg is forced to just play off one base for the moment and try and yeah, deal with this situation. Dang it, I was hoping this game would be a longer macro game. I have so much to say about Julyzerg. All right, let me sneak in some facts about him real quick here. So Julyzerg, this is played basically 2 weeks before the OSL finals that, you know, I guess I have to spoil it because it was 14 years ago or whatever, 16 years ago, but Julyzerg won his first OSL finals. He was a Royal Roader, which means he won the first time that you ever play in the tournament, and it was the beginning of an era. Julyzerg then became the dominant Zerg for the next few years, basically. There was a period where for an entire year he had the #1 Kesper ranking out of the entire, you know, everyone in StarCraft, which I think was 2006 or something like that. Anyway, and it was kind of interesting because then you had like Boxer as the dominant Terran and Yellow as the dominant Zerg previously, and this probe is actually going to get in and scout the Hydralisk Den, which is very interesting. Not unexpected to get the Hydralisk Den against Protoss in this situation, but still he's going to get a scout in, which snuck it in there pretty quickly. Rage, by the way, is kind of just stuck in one base though, so he's going to have to expand a little bit later, so it's not... I mean, Julyzerg definitely at a disadvantage only having the one base. Zerg, you kind of want to have one base up on your opponents generally. And what are those... Oh, he's got Larva waiting? Is he supply blocked? Did he get supply blocked by something? I'm not sure. In any case, and look at this wall. He's actually so scared he's made a wall there at his front door so that even if Zerglings bust up the ramp, it's going to be hard for them to run by. But in any case, he's going to get a Corsair out and get a scout as well. Okay, so Julyzerg. Basically, if you guys don't know, this guy is a legend. He's just absolutely a legend. He was the most dominant Zerg. It was basically like he and Uv had like this rivalry. It was like a Neo Boxer versus Yellow rivalry. Instead, it was Julyzerg versus Uv rivalry. And it lasted for a couple years, basically, in this time frame. And... yeah, so Julyzerg is just not just was a good player, but was instrumental in the development of StarCraft. Kind of like important, like he showed Zergs how to play Zerg. He invented the style called Sauron Zerg, which is just sheer macro and getting tons of bases everywhere and just not even microing, just A moving, just hordes and hordes of units. And it's a beautiful thing to see when you see it in full bloom. And actually, I remember the last game of Julyzerg's last OSL win, which was in July of 2008. By the way, he called himself July before he started winning Star Leagues in July. It's kind of weird, but anyway. But yeah, this is July, and right now he's in the midst of getting through the ranks in the OSL while he's also playing the MSL. He didn't win the MSL. I actually don't know if he wins this game or not, but oh, whoa, okay. Lurkers, I was not exactly expecting Lurkers. I mean, I saw them earlier, but it just didn't like occur to me to think about them because I just want to talk about Julyzerg so much. Julyzerg, quit playing cool StarCraft because I want to talk about how cool you are at playing StarCraft. So Lurkers now, and he's running the Zerglings up so he can get vision of this high ground. He's killed off the cannon, so there's no detection except for the observer, which is of course overhead. But in a small choke point with only zealots, those Lurkers are going to be super effective, even if you can see them. All he needs is like one Dragoon, and one Dragoon can easily take care of those. Well, not easily, but one Dragoon can do a lot towards taking care of those Lurkers. But in the meantime, they're going to do a lot of damage. He's assaulting the Stargate, and look at this Julyzerg. So he's actually snuck a drone out and built another base in the top left. He's actually put some Lurkers up on the high ground as well. The observer is there, so I don't think this is going to work very well. No, the Lurkers needed that choke point to do a massive amount of damage to those zealots as they ran down the ramp, and it didn't quite work out. And the last Lurker does fall. Julyzerg's probably going to need to run those Zerglings away. But again, Julyzerg, he's such a macro beast. He can kind of afford to lose some Zerglings unnecessarily and still get out ahead. Because look at how many Zerglings he has. More zealots here trying to get down the ramp so that he can take his own base. He knows that Julyzerg's got to be expanding right now. So he's got to try and push down the ramp, take his own expansion, try and keep up economically. That Corsair's been running around, so he's able to spot the Spire as well. But Julyzerg's now just like ignoring his natural. He's like, whatever, I don't need that natural. Those 3 cannons are a waste if I don't build anything there, so I'm going to just build around the map. As long as I keep you pinned in your base with my Zerglings and my Lurkers, it doesn't matter. Julyzerg getting another gas, and that is the crucial part about Zerg tech play in general. is getting that second gas and actually third gas is really going to enable the late game units to come out. So that's the kind of the, I mean, you can get by on one base with just the minerals, but in the mid game you need 2 gases to play a Zerg. We do have Rage pushing out here with just a handful of Zealots, and I'm realizing that I just wanted to talk about Julyzerg so much I didn't talk about Rage at all, but that's partly because there's not a lot to say. He's just, you know, kind of a guy that was, you know, a Team League player and got into obviously this part of the MSL. You know, this is the semifinals of the MSL, so he was able to do decently well, but he never won a Star League as far as I know. So, and he didn't. Ooh, did he see that Observer? Is he waiting for an Overlord? No, he just happened to gather up on top of the Observer. And this is really interesting. So Rage is now gathering his Zealots, and he's got cannons in the natural to fall back to. This probe is going to scout that base. He must have known it was somewhere, and he was just looking for it. It wasn't like it's a surprise that that base exists. Oh, that is cute. A lurker egg on the ramp. Gives him some time. Lurker eggs are just, you know, really, they have a lot of armor, so he can't get through there. I'm really surprised. These Zealots are, I mean, they can fall back to those cannons to defend themselves from the Mutalisk, but I'm a little surprised he's not using the Mutalisk to harass those Zealots more. Instead, he's going out and doing more harassing with them. 3 cannons are going to keep those from doing too much damage, though, in the main. And another thing I want to mention, a little bit of history to throw in here about, and actually hold that thought, Rage powering up the ramp now. Now that Lurker Egg is not there, I'm not sure what happened to the Lurker, but the Observer is overhead, so I think that's exactly what solved that. Scourger going to come out to kill off the Observer, and is he going to kill off this hatchery? It looks like he's going to power down the hatchery, despite the fact the Lings are pounding away, and so he basically just sacrifices those Zealots in order to get that hatchery down, which is probably good, because he actually didn't lose a ton of Zealots. Has to fall back to those cannons, and now look at this flock of Mutalisks on the hunt, going out across the map to try and do some counter damage as well. But again, he needs to kind of keep Rage pinned back in his base in order to be able to move out on the map and do the amount of damage. We saw an Archon earlier. Yeah, it's at the natural. More Archons morphing at the expansion base. That Archon is going to be able to do a lot of damage to those Mutalisks if they stick around and fight. And so Julyzerg, I mean, he has this threat of these Mutalisks. He's just showing the threat and saying, look, you know what, you can't get out of your base right now. But it's not going to last for too much longer. With 3 Archons in play, he's got a Corsair somewhere. Or no, maybe the Corsair's gone by now. Actually, he's just going to charge in, kill off the cannons, get some probes. Archon's falling back to help out with that situation. But it looks like he lost a couple Mutalisks in the process. And now notice, okay, so this is something really cool to note. Notice the Mutalisks are not clumped up, okay? Someone asked a question in a previous video, and some random guy named Diggity, I guess, answered it. I don't know if you guys ever heard of him before. Diggity seems like a funny name. Anyway, Diggity said something about how the clumped Mutalisk micro was invented around like 2006-ish, right? Well, Julyzerg, I don't know if I think I remember hearing that he actually invented that. And I could be wrong, though, but if not, he's definitely the one that perfected and popularized it, you know, being basically the dominant Zerg in 2005-06. So, that's just something to note, too, that why the Mutalisks are not clumping up, because no one had figured out the Overlord trick where you group, and oh no, this is the second Mutalisk to fly through. Oh no, he's got his rally point. That's what's going on. His rally point from his expansion base is just rallied into his main, and they're just flying right over the cannons. Those Overlords are on their way to their doom as well, but that's 2 Mutalisks that have been lost without firing a single glaive shot. So this is actually not looking good for Julyzerg. And again, this is a little shocking because remember, this is a time when Julyzerg is kind of in the rise. He's doing really well, and so to see him faltering here in this MSL game, and this is so crazy! This is insane. Okay, if he can get Lurkers on top of the ramp, he might be able to survive this. He needs to go back and try harass with those Mutalisks in order to buy more time for those Lurkers. He needs to get Lurkers on top of the ramp. Otherwise, those Archons are going to destroy. If he gets inside the base, this is going to be so bad. And where are the Lurkers? He's stopping with the Zerg. These 2 Lurkers get on top of the ramp, and it's just barely in time. The Observer is on the way. When the Observer gets there, the Archons might be able to breach this force. But Julyzerg is kind of expecting this. He's got the overlords nearby. He's probably going to be able to build in some Scourge to try and pick those off. Rage says, all right, well, you know what? I'm going to redirect. I'm going to go for this expansion base you've got over in the top left. I know it's there. I know you don't have it defended. He does have a couple lurkers there and a couple sunkens, but crucially, he needs to basically snipe the observer. If he snipes the observer with one of those Scourge, if he snipes the observer, he saves the base. If he doesn't snipe the observer, he loses the game, basically. There's the observer. He's going in. He's got the Mutalisks as well. The Mutalisks are going to take some Archon hits. Where's this? Oh, the Scourge. He needs vision of the observer. Is it? Oh, the vision. It has vision of it. The observer goes down, and there's still one lurker left. It may be a little bit too late though, because these Archons are just too thick, and they're going to work on all of the drones, killing off the drones. Actually, there's two lurkers there. Maybe I didn't see the other one. Maybe it morphed in or something like that. But a lot of damage done regardless. But it looks like he lost all of those zealots, and that is crucial, losing those zealots. And Julyzerg just the very faint beginnings of trying to micro against this Archon, taking some damage though. Look at that. He's actually doing pretty well, and kills off the Archon. He must have looked and seen that it was low on hit points. And crucially, he's still got a bunch of drones on gas. So he's still on 2 gas. And so he's still going to be able to keep up the production of the Mutalisks and the Lurkers. Crucially, though, Rage has got 2 full bases going. He's going to be able to, I mean, he lost a lot of Zealots, but he's kind of ahead in the mineral game. And look at this, he's actually canning behind the minerals of another base, I guess, to preemptively stop Julyzerg from taking that bottom right main, I guess. Kind of a weird spot to be putting cannons, unless maybe he's planning on putting some hidden tech there or something like that. Hard to say. We might see Julyzerg actually build a spore colony with that top left base to just, and again, keep those observers away from the lurkers and stuff. Won't matter too much at this point. He just need, there's a, Templar, he gets a nice storm. Does the storm end up, yeah, the storm, no, doesn't end up finishing it. He's able to dodge the storms pretty well. He does get hit by 2 different storms, but only for a moment each, and so those Mutalisks are still pretty healthy, so they're in really good shape. Anyway, my history lesson is completely out of the window, though. This game is insane. This game is insane. It's almost as if these MSL Top 100 games, as we get deeper into the MSL 100, get better and better. So he does have cannon and an extra pylon. I'm not sure what's going on with this little side base. Maybe he's planning on putting a Nexus there and he wanted to defend it first. But he's also just putting random pylons there too, which is kind of a little bit weird. Again, I'm not sure if he was expecting that to be an expansion of Julyzerg's or not. And it looks like Julyzerg wants to take it out. I don't know why he would do this if he wasn't planning on taking that out. Again, unless he's expecting it to be an expansion that Rage is going to take. So, I don't know. That's interesting. Rage, by the way, I don't know a ton about Rage. I was talking about him earlier briefly, that he didn't really get too far in a lot of tournaments. His overall record wasn't super great. But I want to give a shout out to him because I actually liked enjoying watching him play when he joined the Air Force team. So years later, he joined the Air Force team after he was kind of like, he hadn't really been playing competitively in MSLs or OSLs for a few years, but he was able to join the Air Force team regardless. And Julyzerg still doesn't have his natural expansion yet. We're 18 minutes into this game. We're 18 minutes into the game, and Julyzerg is still on 2 bases. He doesn't have his natural expansion, and he's just macroing ridiculous amounts of mutas. He's just like, I don't care. I'll just make all mutas. I don't need minerals. I'll just make a ton of Mutalisks. He's got like 18, 20 mutas or something at this point. Spreading out his lurkers at the top of the ramp. Beautiful placement. Absolutely beautiful placement. It's possible storms, they'd have to be perfect storms to hit 2 of those lurkers at once. And, you know, he might be able to get perfect storms, but that one zealot suiciding up just to scope out the situation, actually more disposable than an observer at this point. Julyzerg has just insane amounts of Mutalisks. Now he's just going to slow storm, double storm, but again, Julyzerg spacing his lurkers out perfectly so that is he gonna lose that observer? He does lose one observer. Now he might have having a false sense of security though, thinking that he's going for a hive. Julyzerg is going for a hive off 2 bases. What is going on? This is insane. So again, keep not even being able to finish this statement, but he's spaced out. I guess you guys get it, though. He's spaced out his lurkers so that a storm can't hit two at once. So he has to spend more storms to deal with those, basically. And he has used enough storms that he's basically cleared out most of the lurkers. Julyzerg needs a couple more lurkers, actually, at the top in order to secure that. Otherwise, a bust could be possible. But I think Rage is thinking what I'm thinking. Oh, no! No, he cannot lose those! He cannot lose those! Oh, he morphs two of them into an Archon at least, so he's not going to lose that. And Julyzerg taking a little bit of damage, but is he going to be able to pick off? No, he's not going to get that last one, but it looks like it doesn't have energy right now. I'm not sure. Otherwise, we would have seen a storm. Those might be fresh, juicy, brand new High Templar without any storm energy yet. I'm not sure. But in any case, Rage, I think he knows that if he could just posture around the map and keep Julyzerg at 2 bases, he will win eventually. Eventually. Theoretically, like, that's how StarCraft is supposed to work. But in StarCraft, you're not supposed to get 24 Mutalisks against a Protoss player. He's going in with just tons of Mutalisks swarming, blacking out the sky with the wings of his Mutas. Now, in the meantime, Rage is actually excuse me, going after that top left base as well. We might see a base trade situation, ladies and gentlemen. Storms go down on top of those lurkers. The lurkers are now completely polished off, so there's nothing defending that top left base. Julyzerg is mined out in his main as well. This is a base trade situation because Rage is also mined out in his main at this point, likely, and so he's only mining at this natural expansion. Julyzerg has demolished it with his Mutas. It looks like he lost a lot of Mutalisks, but he still has about 8 or 10 left. Some Zerglings coming in to join the fight as well. Both players losing their expansion bases. Both players down to now 1 base each, neither of which are mining. Julyzerg maybe have like a few minerals left over, but this is basically it. And where are these drones going? Are they going... I hope they don't run down to the natural to mine there because there's still cannons there. Julyzerg looks like he's going to mine. He's going to distance mine from this long-term 3rd base. And maybe even make a hatchery there. Where is he going? Yeah, he's going to this 3rd base. This kind of weird tertiary, not really nearby base to mine with. And that actually could win him the game because just a little bit of money is all he needs. And those drones get spotted, but they are on mine command so that they're going to move right through that Zealot. The Zealot's not going to get any... is he going to get 1 drone? Nope. Mutalisks come back and take it out. Now, here's the thing. Julyzerg cannot beat him in a straight-up fight right now, I don't think. So, but at the same time, Greater Spire! 1 base Greater Spire, ladies and gentlemen. There's no one else in the world that could pull this off than Julyzerg, I think. I mean, you know, obviously, it's a part of the era as well when I say that, but, like, this is insane. This is insane. Now, obviously, he got the Greater Spire tech when he had 2 bases, but... right now he's on 1 base. He's not mining. He's distance mining. He's still getting a Greater Spire. This is insanity. We see Rage is slow moving his cannons in. Now it looks as Julyzerg is trying to pick off anything he can. He needs to be very careful though. If he gets basically if he loses track of those, oh my god, he's morphing Guardians. Half of his mutas are becoming Guardians right now. This is craziness. His distance mining is now... Oh, the cannon is able to get pot shots on those drones, but actually only 1 at a time, and some of the drones are dodging that cannon fire. So, and Julyzerg is continuing to make mutas. He's replenished his mutas. Look at this. Now, he actually needs to come in and kill off that 1 cannon that's just pot-shotting his drones, I think, at this point. But here comes the Guardians. He's spacing them out as well. And because he knows he cannot take those Archons in a straight up fight. And Guardians are the equalizer. They have such long range that they can just kind of pick away at these things. And crucially, they can basically do what those cannons are doing and pick away at the mineral line as well. He's having to play it so close here. And look at that cannon is still picking off drones slowly. It's got 1 or 2 drones at this point. And I don't know if there's a lot Julyzerg could do about it, actually. Mother Stone going down is going to maybe finish off the... Ooh, you take some damage there. And the Guardians is such a dance back and forth, trying to get within range to do damage to the natural, but also stay out of range of those storms and the Archons as well. And the storm goes down. It looks like he's dodging through the range of the storm, in danger of getting hit by the Archon now at this point. But he needs to do damage to those minerals. Oh no, look at this. Julyzerg is now, those drones have lost too much. It looks like another cannon has been built. I think this is in the bag for Rage, maybe. Julyzerg, I don't think he's even making, I think he's just making more mutas at this point. I don't think he's even been trying to save up for a hatchery to get another base going. Here we go, Mutalisk coming in. The Storm goes down on the Goliath. I'm sorry, the Goliath, the Guardian rather. He gets the Observer. He gets the Templar as well. That is pretty crucial for him to be able to do some damage with these Guardians. But I think he's down to just a couple Guardians if he has any left. He's got one Guardian. It looks like 2 Guardians, morphing more guard. He's insane. He's absolutely insane. He's morphing extra Guardians instead of trying to make a hatchery or drones. He's insane. But at the same time, I think he thinks it's the only way that he can get back in this. This is craziness. Oh, that is it. Dark Templar is camping that expansion point now. I think this is going to be it. I think Rage has this now. I think because if Julyzerg, he killed off the expansion, if he'd been able to stop the mining altogether, and that was the gambit of going for the Guardians, is getting the range in order to stop mining at this expansion and keep it in a stalemate situation, because he would be able to win a stalemate, basically. Well, I mean, not win a stalemate, because then it wouldn't be a stalemate, but he'd have a much better chance in a stalemate situation, because he couldn't really kill the army heads up. Right, just mutas versus Archons just doesn't work, right? So he's figured, okay, well, if I can keep him from mining his expansion, he can't break my main, I can't break his main. It's an even split, and then I can try and play some sort of crazy long game scenario with distance mining or something like that, with more map control. And there's going to be the GG. But it doesn't work out that way for Julyzerg, and unfortunately he's not able to stop Rage from mining. And just with a little bit of mining going on at that second expansion, then Rage is able to just slowly, steadily cannon his way into stopping Julyzerg from mining, and slowly and steadily build up a Dragoon count that was enough to kind of hold off that expansion base, and slowly and steadily be able to get enough minerals to get a Dark Templar to go out and stop the mining as well for Julyzerg, and just edge his way back in. So it was a cool idea for Julyzerg. Absolutely crazy to go for a 2-base hive play. Just pure insanity, and just going for just massive amounts of Mutalisks as well. Just totally insane. But you gotta hand it to Julyzerg. That was amazing. Hope you guys enjoyed that game. That was awesome. I never really did get to finish my rant about Julyzerg, but hopefully I'll be able to find some more Julyzerg games during the month of July. I hope you're all having a good July. And but yeah, basically, as long as you come away with this with the understanding that Julyzerg is an epic hero of Zerg legendary status, and was the dominant Zerg player, and kind of a dominant player in StarCraft for a while, but definitely a dominant Zerg player for years, until Savior kind of came along and took his title as the best Zerg. Well, maybe not even took his title, actually, but just kind of like joined him, I guess, maybe. Yeah, in, I guess, 2005 or 6 or something like that, because he was still doing pretty well. Now, here's one of the cool things I like about Julyzerg too, is that he, I talk about how some of these guys, part of their legendary status is the longevity of their career, right? And so you had Julyzerg. Most StarCraft players, if they're dominant, if they're bourgeois, they are for like a couple years, right? And Julyzerg did have his couple years. He was 2004 and 5. He was a monster. He was a beast. And he was just doing really, really well. And then he kind of slumped, but he never really fell out of it, right? He still kept getting into the qualifying stages in the lower rounds, the round of 16s, the round of 32s, for a lot of Star Leagues for a couple years. And everyone basically kind of thought that he was like washed up, but he was on his way out. And then boom, July of 2008, kind of out of the middle of nowhere, just comes back and wins an OSL. And not just wins like just an easy run or something like that. He beat some of the best players at the time. No pun intended, since best was the player he beat in the finals. And by the way, the last game of that finals, he beat him with a Sauron Zerg style. It was just absolutely epic game. I still remember that game to this day. That series, he did two cheeses versus best, and everyone's like, oh my god, is he gonna cheese best into the final win? And then the last game was this epic epic, like 6-base Sauron Zerg, incredible late game ultralist tech ridiculousness, and he beat Best in that, and it was just amazing. And was able to claim his golden mouse, getting 3 OSLs before he basically retired, and he still kept it in a little bit, but didn't really do much after that. So anyway, so I guess, yeah, I was able to keep some of my Julyzerg rant for the end, but yeah, Julyzerg, perfecter of modern Mutamicro, inventor of the style of macro Zerg that became dominant and became the basis for Zerg as we know today, and just a crazy all-around player, and just a really cool player. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that. Hope you guys enjoyed my ranting for a little while after the game was over as well. And thanks very much for watching. And again, you know, if you have any questions for me, leave them in the comments here, and I'll do an AMA video at some point, and answer some questions or talk about random stuff or respond to comments or whatever you guys want. So yeah, take care. Thanks for watching, and happy July.